To you. It's Richard Wade, and I'm just going to do a very brief Friday afternoon discussion on one of the key topics relating to rural crime. Now, this subject is often muted, and there's obviously two different viewpoints, the pros and the cons. And the question is CCTV any use in crime prevention? Now, prevention being the key word. Now, this week I've watched various posts on LinkedIn, and there are some people advocating go and get CCTV systems. And of course, any organizations and businesses who provide CCTV and associated systems will push farmers and rural businesses and landed estates into the investing in those types of systems because it's good for business, obviously. But let's investigate that ourselves, shall we? Shall we look into this question? Bearing in mind we're talking about crime prevention, is it any good from a crime prevention perspective? And I'd wager that the answer is actually it's not that much use if we're talking purely in crime prevention terms. Now, this is not just some random discussions. So there's research available. You'll be very much aware of Dr. Kate Tudor from Durham University, a researcher and lecturer and in rural crime and criminology and lots of other topics related to crime matters. So quite an expert in her field, no pun intended. And during her studies and published studies, peer-reviewed studies, Kate has actually interviewed criminals, rural criminals who've been caught. And one of the questions that she's actually asked the various criminals, those that have been caught, was the deterrence effect on them as an individual when it comes to CCTV, and knowing that a business or a farm or a landed estate is covered in CCTV cameras, would that actually stop the criminal from attempting to commit the crime at that premises? And the answer was categorically no. You'd have seen mentioned this week also that on LinkedIn that the criminals don't care about CCTV. Typically, they're operating in vehicles with false number plates. So being picked up by cameras or ANPR doesn't really affect them in any great shape or form. They're normally going to be wearing balaclavas and masks and generally total disregard to CCTV cameras and CCTV systems. They'll have surveilled the area already. They'll be in, they'll get whatever they've identified as a quick and easy target, and they'll be gone again. Typically, all that CCTV will provide is, depending on the quality of the system that's been installed, is some good footage of your own kit being stolen. So CCTV from a crime prevention perspective, in my opinion, also is it's not that. It doesn't want to be your number one priority if you're looking at crime prevention or crime reduction. So what are the uses of CCTV then? Well, going across the bottom of your screen now, you can see that it does have its uses, but let's not rely on it to stop our stuff getting nicked. So the footage can be used to identify potential witnesses or suspects, and it does give opportunities for investigation. So this is this is closing the door once the horse has bolted. After the fact, it's great. You can watch who's nicked your kit, what time they stole your kit, what they looked like to an extent, bearing in mind they're probably going to have balaclavas on or surgical masks and hoods and dark clothing. So it will give you a bit of information about the crime that was committed at some time, unless your CCTV is actively monitored. But not only is it actively monitored, it triggers a response. So a CCTV system that's being watched, and at the point where intruders or criminal activity is detected, somebody does something about it. They call the police or some other emergency response system that's been established, then it's not that effective. So there has to be very quick reactions available. But yeah, so does it provide deterrence? Well, it does to an extent, but it depends on the area. Very often in public areas, so we all know if we go down the main street on a Friday night after a few beers, or we're out in a public car park or any sort of urban area these days, particularly our cities, we know we're going to be on surveillance. There's cameras absolutely everywhere, and that does affect people's behavior in those public environments. So it does have a bit of a deterrent effect there, particularly in those larger public areas where people are very, very much aware that not only is there CCTV, like in a city centre, not only is there CCTV, but it's likely to be monitored also by the local authority station. There's always a monitoring station of some description. So those types of systems, they're monitored, and they can quickly elicit a response when required. But of course, in our rural environment, a farmstead, a landed estate, a rural business in the middle of nowhere, what's the chances of us having A, CCTV that's monitored, or B, a response system in place? It's very, very rare that that's the case. And the criminals know that. They know that these remote areas are easy pickings with or without CCTV. And remember the studies that have been done and the interviews that have taken place with actual criminals, they generally don't care about CCTV anyway. But again, we're seeing on the ticker tape here, it can help overall crime reduction in these built-up areas. So your pubs, your public areas, your venues, your car parks, and certain residential areas. The other benefit, I guess, of CCTV, we do end up with something. So you do have a record of the crime. So that's good for crime reporting purposes, crime statistical analysis purposes. Typically, it will give us a timeline, and we'll know who was involved with regards to numbers and sort of the makeup of the gang or the group or the individual. Very rarely the identification of those individuals. So it gives a bit of information post incident. And of course, for larger public events where CCTV in those situations, like say it's Remembrance Weekend this weekend, and we know there's going to be thousands of people all over London and the major cities. Those will be covered by good quality CCTV systems, just like any public events or parades, those kinds of things. In those situations, CCTV does have a good effect because it's monitored live and there's boots on the ground, as it were. So any incidents and things that occur or activities suddenly kicking off, or accidents, for example, they can be very quickly monitored, and the relevant emergency services can be directed into the exact location where they're needed. So in those situations, CCTV is very, very good. Overall, though, so I don't want to harp on too much today. Overall, CCTV can have a deterrent effect, but it has to be used in conjunction with other preventative measures. So the chatter I've been watching this week, the talk about CCTV on LinkedIn in particular, my take on it is, let's consider CCTV as a part, and to be quite frank, a small part of crime prevention. We can't rely upon it. It'll give you info following the event. So it's post-event useful, pre-event and preventative, not that useful. We need to be thinking of other things to deter and prevent and reduce the opportunity for crime to occur in our rural communities. So we'll go into those on a different talk. But for today's little chat on CCTV, I hope you've found this useful. I'm going to be doing a number of these regular updates and concentrating on other key areas of crime prevention. Today's been CCTV, and on a scale of 1 to 10, in my own personal opinion, how effective on my scale of 1 to 10 is CCTV in rural crime prevention? Between 0 and a half, maybe 1 at a push. There might be the odd criminal, the opportunistic, not particularly well schooled criminal who may see CCTV signage and think, oh, that's I'm going to get caught. But those criminals in the know, and that's the vast majority, they're well funded, well trained, they know what the score is, and they know what a good CCTV system is. And what it is not is crime prevention. So that's me, that's Richard Wade. Go and have a look at your properties, get yourself secure, check your locks, check your lights, check your gates, lock it up and keep it for yourself. Don't let the criminals take it. You can reach out to me at any time through LinkedIn if you want to have a chat about CCTV, or go to ruralcrimes.com and contact me through there. Thank you.